Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out Ren featuring Chinchilla. This is called Chalk Outlines Done Live. And this is the one that has been recommended most to me since I did my video for Money Game Part 3, which I'll leave up here or up here. Super interesting and awesome to analyze Ren's voice and his singing. Primarily, that's what I wanted to do. I said, people, give me some more of Ren singing some stuff. So I believe we're going to get some of that here. And as you guys know, that is primarily what I do on this channel. A lot of vocal analysis, musical analysis, artistic analysis, as well as the first time reaction. Of course, I have never seen this video or heard this song before. But with the ultimate goal of enhancing your guys' listening experience, your musical experience entirely. Please do leave a like and comment, subscription for the algorithm, and hit the bell, and then join my Patreon if I'm enhancing your musical journey. And without further ado, let's check out Ren and Chinchilla. This is Chalk Outlines.
Still here in this bed that I crawled in. I hope that I'm someone else in the morning.
Yeah, already this is radically different from what I've heard him do vocally. Really cool to hear his voice in a more singing context. You know, we hear him more as a rapper, as a lyricist, and we focus on that. So you focus less on the voice and what's happening vocally. I, of course, tried to do that, and I've done that in videos past. But it's cool to hear him, you know, more kind of just objectively singing. Really interesting acoustic environment they're in. Tons and tons of reverb. You could hear it when he opened the chair, especially. It just was like reverb way out. It's a really high quality mic. They're able to pen on him. So you still get a really nice core of his sound, but with a lot of reverb tail heading out in each direction, of course. And picking up the guitar nicely as well. The guitar probably has a mic placed somewhere as well, or it could all just be picked up through the mic on his neck. I'm not actually sure what their setup is, but the quality nowadays, what you can get having a clip-on mic is amazing. You know, that's why the first video I did for Ren, I really did not. I couldn't believe that it was live because the sound quality was so good. I was being in the audio engineering space. I genuinely didn't know that mics had come that far. So very cool, very cool. Nice mellow electric guitar here.
I'm still here in this bed that I crawled in. I hope that I'm someone else in the morning.
It's cool. In a couple of those words, he really pulls off the voice. I hope that He basically allows a lot more breath to come through and makes it a much kind of softer tone compared to the other ones. Now, this is all, of course, very soft, intimate singing. Let's see what pitch we're at. So G sharp 3. So this is right in the middle. Ren strikes me as a pretty average range singer, meaning just You know, if he were to sing in a choir, they'd probably put him on baritone. I've heard him go pretty low down into the bass range, and I've heard him go up high, especially doing some of the more voice acting stuff, but just where his voice sits naturally feels pretty in the middle. And that's where we are right now. G sharp 3, you know, that's nothing high, nothing low, right in the middle. And I just like what he's doing with some of these words.
I hope that I'm someone else in the morning.
He really pulls off that I.
So take this one, wash it down and you'll be fine.
Fine. He gets up to just up to B. I think just up to a B3, so still not going high, but I like how he releases it up into a lighter mechanism there.
So take this one, wash it down and you'll be fine.
I like assumed it went higher. It felt like it went higher, but it's still only a B3, so we're still not even up to middle C yet. And again, just very intimate approach to the sound, letting himself come off the voice, being more efficient with the sound when he wants to, and then really lightening it up as he gets up to that B3, almost going in like a falsetto. Almost. I think he does remain in a much lighter, like a breathier version of the chest voice, but it's very light.
Wash it down and you'll be fine.
Just like barely any tone.
Walk around in the floating chalk outline.
I don't know, it's just so soft, and also adding a little vibrato in there. Outlines, which I really like to hear. I love it when, especially, you know, contemporary singers, whoever, put a nice vibrato in the sound. I think it can add a lot, and not all of them can do it. So it's always something I point out when I hear it.
Around in the floating
On a round, there's a nice vibrato. Round.
Walk around in the floating chalk outline.
So we have a round, chalk, lines. We get vibrato on those 3 words, those 3 notes.
Walk around in the floating chalk outline. So it goes, let it be.
Nice.
In the gallows, balanced on my toes so I can breathe.
Oh. So up to E flat 4 here, and a pretty nicely efficient use of the tone, right? There's only a little bit of air escaping. There's just like a little bit of, there's just like an edge to the sound. I even hesitate to call it as far as raspy, but there's just a little bit of air and noise coming through, so it's not like a really pure, efficient belt. Often adding this kind of sound or adding a little bit of grit into the sound can really add to the kind of emotional gravity of a piece. So I would think in a lot of Ren's music when he's singing, he would probably opt for a little bit of that, because it kind of makes the sound a little imperfect in a way, a little more human in a way. So we're hearing that here, and just up to E flat 4. So now we are getting into an upper chest range for a baritone voice type. So this is when you kind of have to think about it a little more, think about how you're going to navigate it a little more. But E flat, I'm thinking, is probably still pretty darn comfortable for Ren.
Oh, it goes, let it be.
Oh, up to E4, all the way up to E4.
Gallows, balanced on my toes so I can breathe.
And then pulls way off. So we get a nice just contrast of colors there just on that last note. I can breathe. So it's like a nice strong attack on I, on that E4, that high E4. Can breathe. And then he comes down just a half step to E flat 4 and then pulls way off the voice.
Oh, so I can
So I can breathe.
balanced on my toes so I can breathe. But little by little, bit by bit, I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile.
Possibly up to high A, which is very much up in tenor range now, and it does sound high for him. So I still think he's probably naturally a baritone, and this is him really stretching up that chest voice, really stretching out those vocal folds to reach this high. I do love how raw it is. You know, it's clearly not tuned. You know, it's just edited enough probably to get a good balance between the guitar and the voice, if that's even a thing, if they even have a second mic somewhere. I would think they do, just for like room atmosphere and stuff like that, but I don't know. I haven't seen the setup. It's pretty much been a close-up of him. But that's like all the editing I would think they're doing. It's just balancing the two inputs and then making it, you know, like a radio quality volume, like mastering it essentially. But like very clearly no tuning, like which is really cool and really raw and really, I think, special to do a video like this.
But little by little, bit by bit, I push it back down with a new habit.
It's cool. It's really nice. We're still getting, even in the upper range, we're getting contrast between, you know, a lot of vocal fold closure, efficient sound, which you need up there. If you're going to be stretching your vocal folds way up into that high chest range, you need them to kind of come together and kind of use a little bit of what's called the Valsalva maneuver. Like when you're lifting a weight, that tightness, that's actually what you can use. You can use that as a mechanism for really tight vocal fold closure and really stretching the vocal folds up to sing high notes in your pure chest voice. And you hear that. You hear that with people who are belting. We are even here when Ren is singing high in his chest voice. You can almost feel in your own throat the tightening of all these muscles as they're really trying to stretch and they're trying to keep the whole mass of the vocal fold vibrating. Very cool. But all to say, he does that, but then also still has moments where he's really pulling off the voice and kind of adding that intimacy in there.
I push it back down with a new habit.
Like push it back down. He pulls way off the voice.
I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my,
You can hear that. And he's also using a lot of what's called glottal attacks. That's another way, to get the vocal folds to really come together nicely, as opposed to which is called a coordinated onset. A glottal onset is And you can hear just in me demonstrating how much tighter the vocal folds want to come together naturally on their own when you're using the glottal onset versus the coordinated onset. So that's another really great way to reach those super high notes in chest voice.
Myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my.
Yeah, that is up to a high A. I mean, that's very high in pure chest voice.
Smile. Oh my, oh my. We trace ourselves in these chalk outlines.
I wonder why he is doing it usually on that same low note during each phrase. Trace ourselves. I'm very interested why he's pulling off the voice so much for those words, right? Words are strong, and then really pulls off and gets soft for just one word at a time. Usually the same word in the phrase. So I don't know if it's just trying to create a certain flow with the voice, or trying to really de-emphasize and emphasize that word. It's funny how pulling off the voice can emphasize a word, because it makes people pay attention. They go, "What did he say?" Oh, and they're now leaning in. They're leaning in now. We're leaning in now. We're like, "What? Why? Why did he pull off on that word? Why was that word so soft and intimate?" So, yeah, interested to know. Let me know your thoughts.
We trace ourselves in these chalk outlines.
almost allows like a crackliness to come in the voice right here at the end.
Ourselves these chalk outlines. Sertraline and a sip of serotonin. Don't cry, 'cause there's a pill for everything.
Also, really, Chinchilla as well. Really, some really soft moments, some moments of more vocal fold closure, and starting it in such an intimate place, like very soft. So I guess she probably has a mic too. So Ren's got a mic, she's got a mic, maybe the guitar has a mic. It just sounds like there's a mic right on the guitar, just based on the sound quality. Like the guitar sounds much closer to the source than his singing, and if the mic is here, the singing should be closer. So maybe there's something happening with the guitar I'm unaware of. Yeah. Side note, Chinchilla comes in very intimate, soft singing.
Sertraline and a sip of serotonin.
So she's singing in the same exact vocal range that Ren just was. And of course she can do it because her voice is going to be naturally sitting much higher. She can do it in a very soft place in her chest voice, whereas Ren really has to stretch his chest voice up to get there.
Sertraline and a sip of serotonin.
And that might even be head voice. It's so soft, hard to tell.
Don't cry, 'cause there's a pill for everything.
That's chest voice. And do you feel the weightiness, the chestiness of it? is actually how one way singers describe it. Does it feel like there's chest in the sound? Just does it feel like it's resonating down here or up here? And there's just more connection to chest voice here. There's a compared to her first few lines versus these next couple lines, her first line versus second line, there's more weight to it. There's more gravity to it. And that's because she is opting. If she wasn't in the first, it was either a very light mechanism, but either way, the second one, definitely connected to chest voice, is very much in that belty place. Now she's not full on belting yet, but the vocal fold efficiency is there, and you can hear it.
Don't cry, 'cause there's
cry. That's like nice vocal fold closure, nice sound. And what I love about this sound is that it's not a forward sound. It's a nice efficient sound, but she's got space back here. Cry instead of cry, cry. It's like got a darkness to it. It really is nice to have that balance. That's the whole thing we do in opera. It's called chiaroscuro singing. You want the light and the dark sound together. You want a sound that cuts, but a sound that's round at the same time.
Don't cry, 'cause there's a pill for everything. Take this one, wash it down and you'll be fine.
Yeah, she has it's a nice warmth to her sound. Up to. So same up to that B, right? Up to that same B we heard from Ren sorry, one octave higher now. Ren went up to a B3 early on in the song. She just went up to a B4. Okay.
This one, wash it down and you'll be fine.
And she does release her chest voice there. Fine, fine. She kind of leans into the fa on fine in her chest voice, and then definitely flips smoothly into a nice head voice place for the fine, for that higher part of the fine.
Take this one, wash it down and you'll be fine. The feeling goes and you draw a chalk outline. So it goes, let it be.
I don't think she has a mic. I think she's going off Ren's mic because she sounds way further away in this moment than he does. And she's singing in a technique that would be just as loud, if not louder. It's like she's in that belty, more strong singing place. So she would, and Ren's kind of in the middle here, a little upper middle. So her voice would be just as strong, and she sounds very distant. So that's very cool. So I think it is just the mic on Ren.
So it goes, let it be. In the gallows, I'm balanced on my toes so I can breathe.
And they probably found this spacing through trial and error. If they knew she's going to be belting a little higher, singing a little louder, you want her to be a little further away from the mic. So I'm sure how they've structured this video and where they're singing is indicative of the volumes to try and reach a nice audio balance, as well as figuring out, you know, their goal for what they want to accomplish visually with the music video. And so right now, you can tell Ren is much closer to the mic, but we are getting a nice balance between their voices, which is clearly planned.
In the gallows, I'm balanced on my toes so I can breathe.
Ren's got her a little bit by volume there, because they're both in that belting spot for that line. You can see his neck kind of bulging, you know, he's putting a little bit more heft into the sound, and his voice is a little bit stronger there, and he's, you know, essentially 4 times closer to the mic. It's amazing what distance does, actually. I think if you double the distance, it takes away, it's either 3 or 6 decibels, and I believe 3 decibels is doubling the amplitude. God, this is like deep undergrad music production memories. I'm trying to remember the stats on this. I think if you double the amplitude, it increases the decibels, which is on a logarithmic scale, by 3. And yeah, so that's a fun fact for you if I have that right.
Oh, so I can breathe. But little by little, bit by bit, I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I bury myself with a great big smile.
So you can hear as she's getting closer, the sound gets a little clearer. And they're both singing, I would say, in a loud, in a powerful part of their voice. So I think she's up there, and I think he's on the I think Ren's on the lower harmony.
But little by
little. So he's on, is Ren getting up to A, G sharp 4?
but little by
Little. I think he is getting up that high.
little,
Little by little. And I believe she's 1/3 above him, which is very common in structuring harmonies. You don't want to do parallel fifths. This is like a a guideline in writing for choral music, for example. But thirds work out really well. Thirds sound fantastic. So I think what's happening, without spending too much time on it, is Ren is singing kind of the main melody, and she's doing basically a 1/3 harmony above him.
but little by little, bit by bit,
Confirmed.
I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while.
That's a C sharp 4 for her. So that is getting up, even for a female voice, up into very high chest voice. You have to be, if you're not a trained singer or you're not used to singing up there, it's going to be very, very yelly. Whereas hers is very controlled, very efficient. There's no grit. There's no extra air coming through. It's just a very well-produced sound.
If not for long, just for a while.
Really nice.
I bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my.
Oh, they really connected on that one. Oh my. They really connected nicely on that one. Ren used that glottal attack. Oh, I think on an A, and she must have been on that C sharp, and they were just, I think it's the most in sync their voices have been on these harmonies.
Oh my, oh my.
Oh,
We
yeah.
trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my, oh my.
Very They really nail when they get to that really high bit. That's like the cleanest their voices sound too, because they are recruiting everything they can, right? And the vocal folds are really stretching, and the vocal folds are really efficient. There's like no extra air coming through. So it's going to be a very powerful, efficient sound. And if you have really efficient, pure tones like that, blend much better. Noise does not blend well. So if you have a very pure tone and another very pure tone without extra air coming through, they're going to blend really well. So that's why we're getting the best blend for them on their really high notes, because there's like no breathiness.
We trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh mama, erase ourselves.
So he opts, physiologically a necessity probably, to flip up into his head voice for the last two notes of this ascension. Up to that B4 and C sharp 5, Ren switches to his falsetto.
It's such a perfect day, take it just in case.
You can tell it feels like she's farther away now. She's literally further away from the mic.
I'm scared of being okay, 'cause all things change, all things change. It's such a perfect day, it's a beautiful shade, it's a beautiful shade.
Now she's up in a very, very light head voice there. Up to E4, I believe. Very, very light mechanism. Now, I don't know if she has the capability to make it really powerful in her range. If you don't train your head voice, which is the M2 vocal production, you can have a ridiculously strong belt and a very soft head voice without like any vocal fold closure. Quick example, opera singers, especially sopranos, actually pretty much all female opera singers except for contraltos and mezzos opt for a little more chest voice some of the time, but say sopranos for sure, pretty much always try to sing in that part of their voice, the M2 head voice. And so often very young sopranos, like when they first start, it's just like very breathy and nothing. And then they develop and then they get crazy strength and power up there. And it's amazing. But you have to train that part of your voice because you don't sit there naturally. Everyone speaks in their M1 chest voice, and then you can develop all the upper stuff. Right, but no one really speaks up here. That'd be pretty weird if people just spoke in their head voice all the time. So maybe like Mickey Mouse. That's about it. So you really have to develop that. So I'm sure because of the intimacy of the song, either way, she's going to opt for a lighter mechanism in this moment. But just me spitballing, I'm curious if she has developed that head voice at all to be able to really rip it up there, or if she has a nice strong belt and then just hasn't trained the higher stuff. But you really don't need to in pop.
It's such a perfect day, it's a beautiful shade, it's a beautiful shade. I'm scared of being okay, 'cause all things change. But little by little, bit by bit, I'll push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile.
I guess she drops the pitch, self, and just leaves it, just lets it fall off there. A little like, just almost like a voice acting thing to kind of emphasize that word. Bring more attention to it. I love the totally raw sound without the guitar. Pretty cool to hear just their voices.
Habit, if not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile. Oh mama, oh mama.
Okay, those are E5s, which takes a very, very strong chest voice dominant singing to pull it all the way up there. And it sounds very chesty. Maybe it's a mixed belt. It is definitely not just pure pure falsetto or pure head voice for her. Definitely not. It sounds like a really strong belt, like a very well-trained, efficient belt.
Big smile, oh mama, oh mama.
Yeah.
We trace ourselves in this chalk.
And it's significantly louder than even when she's like a fourth or fifth below it, which means generally, if you're keeping it in chest voice, you're carrying more and more weight up, which means it's going to get louder and louder and louder. That is one way to tell, and it's cool. We can actually tell a little bit about volume in this environment, which you usually cannot at all for music videos. We don't know how loud they're actually singing, but we can tell kind of how loud they're singing relative to themselves and one another, just because the way the sound is put together. Very cool. She's like just as loud as him, and she's like 4 or 5 feet away from the mic right now. She's ripping it.
Oh mama, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh mama, erase ourselves in these chalk outlines.
See how much softer that is than those really high belts? There's nothing even competing with her at that moment, and it's still way softer.
Chalk outlines. Oh mama, erase ourselves in these chalk outlines.
Awesome. Oh, so cool to finally hear Ren just straight up be singing. He be singing for like 5 minutes in this video. Really cool to hear Chinchilla. I had never heard her voice either, and awesome to hear them sing in a live, very cool acoustic setting. Tons of reverb, tons of space. That really helps. If you're going to do a live video like this, it helps to have some space around it just to kind of fill the sound out, right? Create that atmosphere. This is fun, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something about Ren singing. Hope you learned something about Chinchilla singing. Hope I made you appreciate them and this video a little bit more than you did 30 minutes ago. If that's the truth, please do consider joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. It's the best way to support me. And otherwise, as always, please leave a comment for the algorithm, super helpful. Subscribe to the channel, also super helpful. And hit the bell for notifications. And I'll see you all in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Peace.